Great. Oh, fantastic. Well, good. Well, it looks like we got a few more people joining here. Hey, everyone.
Hi.
So yeah, so Shane asked me to talk about starting and operating businesses. So I have three little daughters. So I have a almost 6-year-old. Actually, today is my 3.5-year-old's half birthday. She's very excited about celebrating the little things today, and then a little over 1-year-old. So full house here. I also, I own a firm that buys businesses and help start some businesses. And so I think Shane thought I'd be maybe in good shape to talk about starting and operating businesses. And so I figured we just start today maybe by just talking about what is a business. And so if you think about what a business does, so everybody who is out there trying to serve one another and exchanging value. So when you think about it, typically what you do is, let's say you want to go buy a slice of pizza. So you go to maybe a store, or maybe there's a pizza shop, or you maybe ordered online to have it be delivered. We're apt right now. And you are exchanging some amount of money for that piece of pizza. Well, why are you doing that? So the pizza is there as an exchange of value, right? So you're saying, I value that piece of pizza more than I value my, let's call it $3, right? Maybe $5. And so each person is swapping value for the other. And so what the pizza place is saying is that I'd rather have the $5 than I would the piece of pizza. And the person who's buying the piece of pizza says, I'd rather have the piece of pizza than the $5. And so that's the beauty of what we do in a business, is we're exchanging value with one another, where the other person's valuing the thing that we're trading more highly than the other person, which is why the sort of trade is voluntarily happening. So when you create a product, or maybe it's a service, maybe you're raking leaves, or you're helping out cleaning something up, or making pizza, you are in essence serving the other person. Basically, business is just figuring out how you want to serve others and getting paid to do it. How cool is that? It's pretty cool. Has anybody ever started a business here before? I'm curious. How about you guys? Yeah?
Kind of.
Milo, tell me about that.
I did some lemonade selling.
Nice. So tell me all about lemonade selling. When did you do that?
Summer.
Okay. And how did you sell lemonade? First of all, how did you make the lemonade?
I used some lemons, some sugar, and some water.
Nice. And you mix it all together?
Yes, and put it in a big pitcher.
Okay. And then where did you take that pitcher?
Outside to a table.
Nice. So maybe let's talk about that actually for a second, because this is getting into my next point, which is you've got two things going on in every business. One is how much revenue you bring in. So revenue is just another name for the cash that somebody pays you. And sort of when you talk about revenue, it's an aggregation of all of the money people pay you. And then you have costs, right? Which is the other side of the equation. And so how did you get the sugar? Do you have any idea?
I bought it at the store.
There you go. Okay, so when you bought the sugar, why did you want to give somebody cash to pay for that sugar? What was the thing that you were doing there?
Because I would rather have sugar than, I don't know, maybe $10, and the person I was giving the money to would rather have $10 than a bag of sugar.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about. Okay, so you basically did that for every single one of the ingredients, right? So if you think about it, you had to buy the lemons. So when you were buying the lemons, the person who was selling you the lemons said, I'd rather have your cash, and you said, I'd rather have those lemons. So now you've got the lemons, you've got the sugar, you've got now let's see, what were the other ingredients? You said lemon, sugar, what else?
Water.
Oh, you got water. Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah. You got all those ingredients. Okay. And then you had to get a table. Did somebody at some point had to buy the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody had to buy the pitcher. Did you have any signs at all? Maybe did you write
Yeah,
something
a
on the
piece of
sign?
paper that I painted on saying lemonade $2.
There you go. So let's talk about that real quick. So you have a piece of paper. So you had maybe a marker or
Hmm.
something you wrote on there with, right? And then you had your labor. So you know what, guys? Does anybody know what labor means?
Work.
Yeah. So labor is when we decide to like do something that creates value. So in that case, what you were doing is, the labor was in going out and buying the lemons and buying the sugar and turning on the water and getting the pitcher, right? And all these different things. And actually, there's a lot of labor that went into each one of those things. So maybe we could even take a step back and say, how did the lemon get in the grocery store?
They shipped it from
Okay.
maybe a place that grows lemons.
Yeah, so somebody had to grow lemons in the first place. So maybe let's go back and think about how that lemon was grown. So it probably was grown somewhere not close by. It was probably grown quite a long distance. So let's go back all the way there and think about what did it take to get that lemon to you in the first place? Because this will tell us a lot about what it means to start and operate a business. So somebody somewhere had to plant a lemon tree. Well, what did they plant a lemon tree in?
A garden.
In a garden or in the dirt, maybe in an
Hmm.
orchard. And so you had to buy the land or rent the land, right? And then you
Buy
had
the
to,
seed.
yeah, you had to find a seed, and then you had to plant the seed. So you had to probably buy a seed from somebody, and then you had to take your labor and you had to put the seed in the ground. And then what else do you do? So once you put a seed into the ground,
You water it.
yeah, you gotta
You make sure
water
it
it.
gets enough sun.
You gotta make sure it gets enough sun. What happens if it gets bugs on it?
What?
So what happens if it gets bugs on it? Maybe
It
bugs try to.
dies.
Yeah, so we got to keep the bugs away. So there's all these things that are happening, and then at the end, if the lemon is able to grow and grow and grow, then what we do? Does the lemon just magically drop into a truck?
Now you have to get a truck to come to your house. You put the lemon in a crate or in the truck. The truck
Yeah,
has to drive or a plane, get to the store. They have
yeah,
to package it and put it on a shelf. And then you need
exactly.
to
So there's
buy it.
all these things that have to happen. Now think about it. That truck that came and picked up the lemon to take it to maybe a distribution center where they get lots of lemons together and then they distribute the lemons out to the different grocery stores, right? If you think about all those steps, that truck is really complicated. Somebody had to build that truck, right? So if you go all the way back, anytime you're trying to make something, you're sort of combining and recombining things that other people have done. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, okay, from that person, I'm going to be taking, or I'm not taking, I'm going to be exchanging some value, right? I'm going to be giving them cash and they're going to be giving me that thing so that then I can recombine those things and try to serve people through it. So to use your lemonade stand example, let's go back. So you've got lemons, you've got water, you've got sugar, you mixed them all together, you put it into a pitcher, you put out your sign, you got it on the table. Now what happens?
If somebody comes and they'd rather have lemonade than $2, they give you the $2 and you give them lemonade.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's say hypothetically, well, actually, let's not even say hypothetically, how many lemonades did you sell that day that you were doing your lemonade stand?
Not a lot, because
Not a
my
lot?
street isn't that busy. So like maybe 5.
Five, that's still good though. Okay, so you sold five at, do you say $2? Was that what you were
Yeah.
saying for?
So like $10.
So you got $10. Okay. So now what we got to think about though, okay, so that's our revenue. So it's a sort of aggregation, all of the cash that's coming in. And we take all that and we say, okay, that's our revenue, which is $10. And then we have all of our costs. So do you know how much you spent on sugar and lemons by any chance?
Maybe about I think about 12 for the, but I had money to start with too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
so we'll
like
have to talk
$12
about that.
for the lemons, $10 for the sugar, and the water from the tap. So that would add up to all the taxes
Yeah.
that we use for the water.
Yeah. Well, so did you have the ability to make more than 5 glasses of lemonade from all the
Yes.
ingredients? How many glasses of lemonade do you think you have the ability to make?
Maybe about 12 to
12?
20.
Okay.
12 to
Yeah.
20
So
glasses of lemonade.
Yeah, so this is what's really interesting about businesses. You want to be able to match your demand, which is how many glasses of lemonade somebody wants to buy from you, with the ingredients that you want to make, so that you can, at the end of the day, when you subtract out all of your costs from all of your revenue, there's a little bit of money left over at the end, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
hopefully more than a little, maybe a lot of money left over at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you just said was, okay, well, instead of selling 5, I could have sold, you said 12?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would have been the revenue if you had sold 12 at $2 per glass?
Mm, still $0 because if wait, no, $2.
Yeah, so you sold them each for $2 and you sold 12 of them.
Mm-hmm.
How much money would you have if you sold
$24.
$24? Okay.
But then the cost of the lemons was 12 and the cost of the sugar was 10, so that's 22. So I only made $2.
Yeah, so this is what you have to do. So what you do is you take all of your costs and then all of your revenue and you subtract those things, and then that was it equals profit, right? So profit's what's left over. So if you had sort of been able to sell all of your lemonade, then you would have had $2 left over, which is pretty
Mm-hmm.
neat. I mean, you get to serve other people and you get paid to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, think about if you did that at scale. When at scale means like there's a lot of that happening over and over and over again. So at scale, like let's say that you were making lemonade not just for your street, but what if you were making it for your entire neighborhood? How many lemonades do you think you would sell if everyone in your neighborhood wanted a lemonade?
Maybe 100.
Yeah, 100.
So I would make
So
$200. Subtract 22 would be 78.
you could, it depends on it. So this is what's called economies of scale. I know these are
But then I
these
would
are
need to
terms you
buy
guys have
more
learned.
sugar and more lemons.
Yes. So that's right. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to buy as much as you can on this side to be able to serve the customers on this side. And the more that you can buy on this side, typically the cheaper the price per lemon is. So let's say if you were going to buy 5 lemons instead of buying, or you're going to buy 100 lemons instead of buying 5 lemons, the cost per each lemon would actually be a lot lower. And so this is where you get into something called economies of scale, which is really, really neat. And this is where a lot of efficiencies in business come from. Now let's talk about though that profit that was left over. So let's say you had made, I'm just going to make up a number, $50 because you had served your entire neighborhood with lemonade. Now what are you going to do with the $50?
Mm, Spend it on myself, give it away to funds and charity. Maybe give it away as presents if it's close to the holidays or anybody else's birthday.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a lot of things we can do with that leftover money, and I think you were suggesting a lot of them right there, which is we could spend it buying maybe food for us, maybe that slice of pizza that we wanted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we could give it away to others. That'd be really nice.
Mm-hmm.
What if we took that $50 and were able to buy more ingredients in the business and able to make more money the next month than we made the previous month? So what if we took the $50 and we said, okay, thankfully, because of our parents or whatever the circumstances are, we're able to eat and we've got shelter over our heads and enough water to drink and everything's great. What if we took that $50 and we were able to reinvest it back into the business, and the next month we were able to make an extra $25 because we were able to serve more customers? How cool would that be?
Mm-hmm.
That's called
So,
reinvestment.
yeah, if you reinvest, you get more money in the end each time.
Yeah. So if we play that out though over, like, let's say a couple months, so that next month instead of making $50, we make $75. But what if we took that $75 then that we'd made on top of the 50 that we'd already reinvested, right? So how much money would we have then?
100.
50 plus 75.
50 plus 75. 125?
125. Now, if we took that 125 and reinvested it again, right? We could
Mm-hmm.
generate more and more and more, this is how businesses get a lot bigger. So typically, well, not typically, all businesses start as small little businesses. So that lemonade stand may have seemed like you were only starting with something very small. But that's how every business starts. Every business starts by serving one customer to start, your very first customer. And then you serve 2 customers, and then 5 customers, and then 10 customers, right? And on and on and on. And every time you serve a customer, hopefully, if you've done a good job in buying the right ingredients and in sort of the correct quantities, right? And you continue to, pay people and serve people well, you'll have customers that want to come back, and they want to come back, and they want to, drink lemonade, maybe not every day, but every week, right? Or when it gets a certain temperature outside, right? And so what you want to do is you want to time all those things. And then as you generate the profits can then go back into the business, and you can buy more lemons, and you can buy more sugar, and you can buy bigger quantities of them, so you get them cheaper on a per unit basis. And this is where you get these beautiful things called economies of scale, where you make lots and lots of money. And so, but that's it. That's all business. You really don't need to learn anything more. You figured it all out. Rowan, what do you think? I've seen you listening up there. What do you think?
About
lemonade stands and business. Do you think you'd ever want to start your own business?
Maybe.
Maybe?
Well, probably.
Yeah. Tell me about that. What kind of business would you want to start?
A software business.
Okay. I like that. What kind of software would it be? What would it do?
Just writing software for people who want to create like things that require that.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about that business real quick. So in the same way the lemonade stand had lemons, what are kind of the different ingredients that you would need to create your software business?
Well, you would need a computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need all the accessories, like your keyboard, your mouse.
Yeah.
And then I think you would probably need marketing.
Okay. You got to find customers. Absolutely. That's really great. So do you think you would hire anybody else to help you create that software company?
Well, wouldn't you have to get money from one person paying you before you can hire the other person?
Yeah, well, so this is a great question. So oftentimes you'll end up doing the thing that you're trying to build the business on yourself to start. And then whenever you want to do more of it, then you hire somebody else to help you. So how does that person make money?
You pay that person.
Yeah. Yeah. So an ingredient sometimes in all of this is not just our own labor or work that we're putting in, but we also try to get our friends to come in and help us too. Like we get to all band together, like everyone right now on this, we could all band together and say, start a lemonade stand or start a software company. And then you try to figure out how we all work together to maybe you're better at one aspect of it than Tracy, right? Tracy may be good at, I don't know, the marketing side. Maybe you're good at the software side. Maybe, I don't know, who else do we have on here? Mac. I bet Mac would be really good on helping us get computers. Mac, what do you think? Can you help us get computers?
You're muted, Mac.
Yes.
Yeah. So Mac, where would you go get computers if we needed to find computers?
Go on computer store.
Yeah, you could go in a computer store. Do you think that we would just want to buy any computer, or maybe there's special computers we would want to buy?
Well, maybe if it's software Windows.
Yeah, that's a great idea. What else, Mac?
Maybe some Apples. Maybe some Apple laptops would be good.
Yeah, maybe some Apple laptops, depending on what we're doing. That's right. And depending on, something's called a preference. So sometimes things can be equally as good, but a preference is something where I just say, I prefer one thing over another thing. So sometimes maybe it's a Windows computer and sometimes it's a Mac, right? Depending on what your preferences are.
And if you get laptops, you don't need the accessories.
Yeah, that's another good point. So sometimes it's more costly to buy a lot of other things around something that you need. And so that's where you got to make the decision. But why can't we just spend as much money as we want on whatever we want for our business?
Because
if we don't sell anything.
Yeah, because we got to make sure that we're keeping enough money to we can keep everyone employed, everyone can get paid so they can, buy food. So we can also that we can buy computers, but we don't want to buy too much to where maybe we have the same problem we have with the lemonade stand where we only served about this much lemonade, but we bought enough ingredients for that much lemonade, right? So we kind of want to match the amount of stuff we're buying to the amount of things that we can do to serve our customers.
Yeah.
This is all about serving our customers.
And the thing is, even though maybe a laptop would cost less because of the accessories, you might still want to get a desktop because you're more efficient on a desktop and you get more of a profit.
Yeah, you're right. So
But
this
you
is
could
a
just get
concept
monitors
called
for the
productivity. So productivity means how efficient are we at doing the thing that we're trying to do? So maybe to take it back to the lemonade stand example. So maybe instead of chopping up one lemon and then squeezing one lemon and then taking one scoop of sugar and then taking some water and then doing it all over again, maybe we would say we chop all the
Multiple.
lemons at once and squeeze all the lemons in at one time. And then we take all the sugar that we needed to do and dump it all into one time, and then all the water, and then we mix it all together. Because that would be more efficient, right? That would be higher productivity. So the same thing in software. So maybe you and I were working on a software project together, and so we're gonna be writing lines of code, right, to try to do things. So maybe instead of me saying, okay, you write a line of code, and then you tell me when I should write a line of code, and then I'll tell you when you should write a line of code, maybe you'll just write a bunch of lines of code, and I'll go work on another piece of the software, and I'll write a bunch of lines of code, and then we can link them together, right? Because that would be more productive. What are some other ways we could be more productive in creating our software company?
Hire more people.
We could hire more people. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Should we all work in the same spot, like on the same computer, or should we all have our different computers?
If we have different computers, then you don't really have to pay for the computers that the other people use.
That's true. That's true.
Hired.
Yeah. So should we be in the same room together? Do you think that would be a good idea? Would that help us?
It wouldn't help us, but it
wouldn't?
wouldn't make it worse either.
It could, because we could talk to each other.
Yeah, but then you could also talk to each other online.
That's true as well. So this is a
It wouldn't help us right now.
Yeah, this is a really important concept, right? Where there's something called trade-offs. So if we do one thing, we can't do this other thing, but sometimes if we do this other thing, we can do this other thing. So what we want to do is every decision in business, we want to think about what are the consequences and what are the trade-offs, right? So Mac, you made a really good point, because if we were in the same room, we could see each other better. We wouldn't have to look at the computer screen, and we wouldn't be smaller, right? We could say, and maybe we didn't have to look at each other. We could just say, hey, how are you doing? Are you doing the thing over there? Right? And it's like, we're all there together. So there'd be less like communication friction. But I think what you were saying was that if we were all in different places, maybe then we wouldn't have to drive into the office together and maybe wait in traffic. And
what if this coronavirus thing happened?
Yeah, and we'd be more safe maybe right now. So that's another thing. But that's a really important concept as we're building these businesses. We got to think about every decision has consequences. And so you got to make sure you're kind of understanding what those consequences would be.
I
Yeah.
have a question.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for things that haven't happened before, like COVID?
Boy, that is a great question. You know what? Most people didn't prepare very well for this, unfortunately. And I think a lot of people are learning a good lesson, which is there's something, does anybody know what risk is called? What is risk?
It means you're doing something that might turn out bad, but you're trying it.
Yeah. So risk is there's a range of outcomes that might happen, right? So if I walked outside, my range of outcomes might be, boy, it's just a beautiful day. I like being outside. Or maybe a plane falls out of the sky, right in front of me. Whew, glad I missed that, right? Or maybe I stubbed my toe. oh no, my toe hurts, right? Or maybe there's a bug that lands on my face, right? So there's all these things that could happen, right? Those are all the risks, the things that could happen, and many of them likely won't happen. So in business, what you want to do, and this is a great question, you want to plan for a lot of things that likely aren't going to happen, but could happen. And so what you want to do is you want to think about risk in terms of magnitude. So what's the range of outcomes and how severe could the outcome be, potentially on the negative side? Risk is typically about negative sort of impacts. And so with coronavirus, what we're talking about is a lot of people didn't even know that it was possible to have the sort of consequences that we have now as a result of the virus. And so a lot of people didn't plan accordingly in their businesses. And so a lot of people were used to working in rooms filled with people, which, by the way, were really, really good when there were coronavirus, because we could talk to one another. As Mac was saying, we could talk to one another and we could have really good communication. But now that we've all kind of got to be separated in our own houses, we can't go to the office together. And so a lot of people weren't set up to be able to work from home. A lot of people made decisions to, let's say, to take it back to the lemonade analogy, to buy a bunch of lemons that now they don't know what to do with because they don't have a lot of customers now. And so all the lemons are going bad and there's nothing to do, right? So what we want to do in business is we want to think about, okay, I could, in theory, reinvest back into the business and maybe grow to here, to here, to here. But what if something were to happen? And how conservative do I want to be in making sure that I plan for all those potential outcomes? So did you all see that Wimbledon, do you guys know the tennis tournament Wimbledon? Are you familiar with that? Well, there's a big tennis tournament. It's the best tennis tournament of the year. I've been to it twice and it's awesome. It's really, really cool. Best tennis players in the world, and they play on grass, like really, really, really short grass, like the grass that you grow in your front yard, only trimmed really, really, really small. So anyway, so the ball bounces still off of it. But Wimbledon, they actually bought an insurance policy to guard against a pandemic, a virus that could pop up. And what they did was they paid a little bit of money every year to be able to take that risk, and somebody else bought that risk from them. So if that risk ever happened and came true, they would then pay them a lot of money to compensate them so that they wouldn't be harmed by that risk. Do you know what that's called? Have you guys ever heard of insurance?
Yeah.
Yeah. So insurance is that exact same thing. So what Wimbledon, this tennis tournament, did is they bought virus insurance, which is a really interesting way to plan for the situation. Not many people did. In fact, I'm aware of no one else who has that. And so there's all different kinds of ways in which we can take a risk and we can identify it. And then we can say, well, we could maybe have more than one person work on that thing so that if one person got sick, the other person could still work on it. That would be a form of what's called redundancy, right? That's a way to reduce risk. Or we could say, gosh, I think the odds that this one thing happens are so low that I wonder if somebody would sell me some insurance, right? Where they would take on my risk. I would pay them a little bit of money every year. And if the thing ever happened, then they would pay me a lot of money. Do you all have insurance at all? Maybe on your house? Have you ever heard your parents talk about insurance ever?
Yeah.
Yes, my dad has insurance on his house.
Yeah. So a lot of people—
We have insurance.
Yeah, a lot of people use insurance on houses or cars or things that could get hurt, right? And then that way, if the thing does get hurt somehow, like let's say maybe you have a fender bender, right? And your back bumper gets dented in. Well, the insurance then would say, okay, you've been paying us for what's called the premium, a little bit of money to guard against that risk. Now that thing has happened, we'll then pay to get that car, part of your car fixed. So it's the exact same thing, but this is a great way to think about business as well, is what are all the different ways in which we can take risk, identify it, and then sort of guard against it. It's really important. That's a great question. What other questions do you have?
Which risks are worth taking?
Say that one more time.
Which risks are worth taking?
Ooh, that's a great question. What risks are worth taking? Well, I would say a risk that is very small and a risk that has a very low impact, right, are the types of risks that you want to take. So if something, let's say something bad were to happen, but it really doesn't matter, right? Like let's say that we're gonna use the lemonade stand example. Let's say there's a very small chance that the lemons we buy are too sour for the lemonade, right? But we won't know that until we squeeze them into the lemonade, okay? And so let's say we're spending $10 on the lemons. Well, do we want to get insurance to guard against the risk of some sour lemons? Well, probably not. I mean, because the risk is only that maybe we have those 10 lemons, the $10 worth of lemons, that then we just have to say, ugh, those are yucky lemons. We should throw out those lemons, right? We'll get new lemons instead. Now, did we lose $10 as a result of it? Maybe the grocery store that we take them back to, though, says, oh gosh, we're so sorry. We didn't realize that those were bad lemons. And they reimburse us for them or give us new lemons. So there's all different kinds of ways that you can, what's called risk sharing with your vendors, maybe even potentially with your customers, depending on the situation. And look, everyone, when you're in business for a long time, everyone wants everyone to stay in business. And so that's a really cool thing too, is you can go back to people and say, hey, this thing happened. I know you didn't mean to, you accidentally did something to me. Can you help me? Right? And sometimes that's a really good way of also going about it. Who else has a question? Who wants to-
I have one.
Yeah.
How do you come up with a good price to sell your product?
That's a great question. Okay, well, so let's take the lemonade example. So how did we determine the price to sell lemonade for?
I don't know. I didn't really think about it.
Well, so are you used to buying, let's think about what is a good thing that's like lemonade. So maybe it's a soft drink, or maybe it's a drink of juice. So instead of selling lemonade, maybe we're getting apple juice, or maybe it was Coca-Cola or something else, right? What would be the prices you're used to paying for something like that?
I don't know.
Would it be,
$2 to $3?
are you used to paying $100 for a glass of water?
No.
Are you used to paying $0 for a glass of juice?
No.
So it's somewhere between. All right, now we have our price range, right? So we got $100. We're not used to paying that much, but we're used to paying more than zero. So maybe, are we used to paying more than 50 cents?
Yeah.
Okay, are we used to paying more than $1?
Sometimes.
Okay, now we're maybe, so maybe we want to say is $1 is kind of the lower bound of our pricing range. Now, we're not used to paying $100. Are we used to paying $50?
No.
How about 10?
Unless you want to package
Maybe,
something.
maybe.
Maybe $10.
Maybe.
Maybe $10 for a really, really nice drink. Maybe $10. That's correct. So maybe we've got our pricing range now. Drinks typically cost between $1 and $10. Now, here's this really interesting economic concept which you got to think about when we're pricing our product, which is called substitutions. So what can you substitute for the thing that you're selling that somebody else could sell something else that would be not exactly like it, but very similar to it? And so a substitutionary product is the product that is similar but not identical. And this is kind of where we get pricing. So if I'm going to sell my lemonade for $2, but I can go buy apple juice for $1, then how many people want to buy lemonade for $2 when there's apple juice for $1? Well, that's what makes the market. And so let's say that we went out and priced our lemonade at $2, and everyone that we kept coming by said, oh gosh, I would love to buy some lemonade, but there's a guy right down the street who's selling apple juice for $1. And gosh, the apple juice is also cold, and it also tastes really delicious. And I think I'm going to go buy the apple juice instead of the lemonade. Then we maybe have a price that's too high for people to want to buy our product versus the apple juice. So what can we do? What are our choices?
Lower the price.
We could lower the price. That would be correct. Or
we can make it better.
Or we can make it better. That's exactly right. You all are already in business, clearly. So those are our choices, though. Whenever we learn that there's a substitutionary product in the marketplace, we've got two choices. We can either lower our price, or we can raise the quality, right, to where people want to buy it, or maybe some combination of both of those, right? We don't have to do one or the other. And so what you're constantly doing is you're constantly trying to calibrate. You're trying to think through how to adjust your pricing depending on how you perceive your quality versus somebody else's quality, a competitor. And a competitor is not a bad thing. A competitor is just somebody else who offers something that seems similar, right? And so you're always wanting to adjust. Okay, I think my price should be X, right? But they're selling it for something else. And how is the market reacting? Are they getting a lot more business? So when you sort of have a bunch of people competing over something similar, it's called market share. So what's our share, our slice? If you think about a pie as being all of the market for, let's say, cold juices on a hot day, right? Then what is our slice of that? And how does that fluctuate? How does that adjust up and down depending on if we invest more in higher quality lemons or better sugar, or maybe we make it colder, right? So we keep it colder so people are more refreshed by it versus if we drop our price. But that's kind of you're always trying to kind of calibrate and adjust how you're thinking about pricing versus the quality of your product.
True.
Great questions.
Thanks.
Who else has a question? Who wants to start a business? I'm curious. Who's
Me.
excited about starting a business?
I created a logo for it using free logo services.
Nice, fantastic. Well, so maybe towards the end here, and I don't know how much time do we have today?
We have an hour, so we have until 1:30.
Okay, great. Okay, so we got some time. So let's talk through some of the businesses that you all want to start. So who's got an idea for a business that they're excited about?
I have one.
Okay.
It's a business that is dedicated to stopping pollution.
Fantastic. That seems like a really good business right now.
I'm thinking of naming it Pollution X.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. How did you decide on that name?
I like it because I think it's easy to remember and it represents what the company or organization does.
I think that's a really good reason for naming something. That's fantastic. Tell me about what the pollution company is going to do.
It's gonna so what you can do is you can hire them to clean up a certain region of a certain country. Like, let's say one person likes swimming in a certain river, but that river is getting polluted by like throwing out markers or plastic. You can hire us to clean it up.
I like that a lot. So how did you come up with this idea? Why are you excited about helping clean up pollution?
Because I think it's what me and my friends do, because we really are against pollution. We really want to stop it.
Yeah, well, so that's a great reason to start a business. So most businesses are started because you're passionate, you're excited about solving the problem of your customer. So in this case, the customers are the people that play in the river, live near the river,
Or play in a certain forest.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what you're doing is you're offering your services. So you and your friends get together and you say, hey, we're going to get really good at cleaning up pollution. So how are you going to get good at it? Tell me the things you're going to do to clean things up.
Well, we're going to practice cleaning up certain things and explore how to clean up like oil and practice using the machines that you need to do certain types of pollution cleaning because you can't do it by hand.
Yeah, so this is a really important piece of business. So this is called specialization. So this is a really, really interesting thing when it comes to productivity. You guys remember productivity is how efficient are we at doing something? So what you're talking about is something that's called a specialization, which is we're going to learn a special technique. Maybe, so we're going to talk about cleaning up oil. Like right now, I don't know how to clean up oil. Like if there's an oil spill, I don't know. I get a dish towel. I don't know. Do I just clean it up like that? Well, probably not, right? Maybe there's special ways, especially if there's a lot of oil. There's gonna be maybe special techniques that you would use. You'd have to learn and learn and learn. There was like specialized knowledge, and maybe there's machines that would help us. So maybe there's like a skimmer machine that would skim all the oil, right? And we could buy that machine from somebody. And again, that transaction, we want the machine more than the cash we're paying for it. They want the cash more than the machine. So we're doing a transaction with them. Everyone's getting more value. Value's being created. And then we take that machine and go to our customers and say, you know what? Instead of you going out and spending your time cleaning up the oil, we would love to clean up the oil for us if you'll pay us to do so, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really great, because what they're doing at that point is saying is, look, you're better at cleaning up the oil. You can do it faster. You can do it cheaper. You can do it a lot better than I could, because I've never cleaned up oil before, and you all clean up oil all the time. And you have the right machines. You know exactly what you're doing. And so I think you'll be able to be a lot more effective, right, and efficient at doing it than I could. That's called specialization. That's what's so cool about the economy, is we all specialize and do something unusual, right? Where you get really, really good at something. I mean, like, who thinks that you get better at doing things over and over again? Yeah. Yeah, I do too. So I'm way better at cleaning up the dishes in my sink. Believe me, I clean up a lot of dishes. With 3 little girls at home, we use a lot of dishes. The first time I ever did dishes, I wasn't very good at it. Now I can clean up dishes with the best of them, right? It's the exact same concept. Everyone can clean up dishes better if you do more of it. But sometimes you'd rather hire somebody else because they may be better at it than you. So that's a really good point. So let's talk about this business. How are you going to price your cleanup services?
Depending on the type
Okay.
of pollution, like plastic, oil, air, light. No, not light pollution.
Oh,
And the quantity, or the larger the area, the more expensive it is.
okay. How are you thinking about how many people would need to be with you and helping clean up?
I'm guessing it would be better to start with more, so maybe 5,
5
because
people.
you would need somebody to know what to do, somebody able to do it, and it would be better to be stronger at it. So we should
Okay,
add
so
more
now,
people.
so maybe the people, those 5 people are going to have different skills and different attributes about them. So maybe one person's really, really strong and they can lift heavy things, right? And maybe that's the real value they're bringing to the job, whereas somebody else has all the expertise and knows how to do something, right? So what you're talking about right now is, even within companies, there's specializations of people and talents, because we all have different things that are good, and we're all good at different things and sort of not so good at other things, right? And so one of the cool things that we can do is, if we all come together, your skills are going to be different than my skills, and maybe together you can do things way more efficient in some ways and I can do them in others, but together we can do them way better together than we could apart, right? So this is something called additive value. So additive value is when you take things and when you add them together. This is how additive math works, but this is not how additive math works. 1 + 1 = 3 or 4 instead of 2, right? So normally 1 + 1 = 2, but if those attributes are different, sometimes you can get an additive value out of it. And so I think that's what you're saying is, I think that's a really smart idea, is you want to have those 5 different people focus on different things and learn different things and bring different things to the table so that you'll get different things out of it. I think that's a really cool idea. What's a way that you could start that business sometime in the next month? What are things that you could start learning how to help the environment?
Well, first I would ask the people if they would like to apply. Then we would practice. Like, we would go to like the neighborhood park or a certain river, and then we would practice. We would scan it to see if there's trash, and if there is, we would practice putting it away.
Is there ever trash in your house? Like, are there ever crumbs on the floor, or maybe you spill something on the floor?
Yes.
Do you think
Many
you could
times.
start by going to your family and saying, I want to start this business and I want to learn and I want to get really good at cleaning up things in my own house to start, right? And then you could go outside into your yard and tell your family, what if I could learn how to clean up stuff in my yard? And then maybe you could even have your friends over and say, hey, what if we all learn together how to clean up things in our yard? How neat would that be?
Awesome.
Yeah, you could start that. I mean, that's something you could start doing today. You get learning and get value out of it. I bet your family would appreciate it too. I certainly. That'd be great. Who else had an idea for a business?
Me?
Speak up. Go for it. I don't think I can see you right now.
1 sec. I'm just turning my camera on.
Yeah, no problem.
Where? Okay.
There you are.
So I had a business idea.
Go for it.
Oh, it was the thing that we discussed.
Oh, so the software firm.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I thought you maybe had a different business idea.
Oh no.
So do you think that maybe you could start that software business idea soon? What do you think?
Well, how do you think of soon?
Well, I don't know. What do you need to start a software business?
Well, you have to have a computer and stuff like that.
Do you have a computer?
Yes. You also have to have knowledge of
Yeah.
coding.
Yeah. So have you ever thought about taking some classes, maybe some online classes about how to start writing code?
We're
Yeah.
doing that.
Are you?
Yeah.
Nice. So maybe can you start writing some code that could accomplish something?
We
Yeah.
have.
Well, what is something that you could write that would accomplish something and somebody would pay you for it? Do you have any ideas of what kind of software you could?
Tic-tac-toe game.
You could make a system that prints hello.
Well, no, make a web page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like, I mean, making web pages for people is an important business. There's a lot of big businesses that are based on that too.
You
Yeah.
could make a tic-tac-toe game.
Yeah, you could make a game that people would enjoy. That'd be a really cool idea. What other things can software do that you're like, I wonder if we could create that and sell it?
Arduino.
Okay. Great. Well, so what's stopping you from trying to do that?
Age.
No, not age. You know more about software than I do. I don't know anything about software.
Then there's also time, how much time you have to do things.
So do you ever waste time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. So maybe it's not time, and it sounds like it's not age because you know more about software than I do. So what other good excuses do you have?
I don't know.
I don't think you have any good excuses. I think you should try to do it. I think you should try to start something. Hey, so this is kind of like the final lesson, which is you don't need permission to start a business. You can just start a business. That's what makes it so great. Is in our area of the world, in some areas of the world, you have to get a lot of different people to say it's okay to start a business. But in our area of the world, it's so amazing is that you can just start a business and you can help serving people and they can pay you for that. And no one's going to stop you. It's really, really, really neat. And so I would encourage you all, regardless if you want to sell lemonade or if you want to clean up the environment or if you want to start a software firm, like I would just say do it. And you know what? It's going to be really hard. It's way, way harder than you ever think, but there's really, really great people out there that can help you and you can ask questions all the time. And heck, I'd even be happy to help you after this class. If you say, I really want to start it, I'll give you my email address. You can have my telephone number. You can call me, you can text me, you can email me and ask me questions about how maybe you're not understanding something, or maybe it's something about pricing or finding customers. So I'd be happy to help you all start a business. What else do you all think? Any other questions you have or anything else you want to talk about starting or operating a business?
Good question. What's the difference between entrepreneurs that quit and entrepreneurs that don't?
Boy, you ask really good questions. So there are entire books written on this topic. So I would say that the biggest difference usually is that entrepreneurs that quit ran out of resources to do the thing that they were trying to do. So the reason why most companies fail is because they run out of money to be able to pay people, to be able to buy supplies. And so this is what's called proper capitalization. So proper capitalization is all about having the right amount of money. So not too much because you don't want to be wasteful, but not too little so that you have enough to be able to pay everyone, to be able to buy stuff, and to be able to, remember, if our lemons went bad, we could buy more lemons, right? So that's the whole idea. Sometimes people just quit because they get discouraged because it's really, really hard. And, I've started a bunch of different businesses, and I would say every single time I've started a business, I've gotten to a point where I'm really tired and I'm exhausted, I'm frustrated, things aren't going the way that I want them to. And at that point, you have to figure out why. Why is the business not going the way you want it to? Is it because of something you're doing wrong? In which case it's great because you should be able to learn from that experience. Or is it from maybe, I don't know, things just aren't going your way. You're having some bad luck. In which case it maybe is great to just stick with it and sort of, it's called having grit. So be able just to say, no, I'm gonna keep moving forward. But I think that's the trick. Sometimes it's the right thing to say, you know what, I gave it my best shot. I thought my customers were really gonna like lemonade. They don't like lemonade though. They like apple juice. And you know what? Maybe instead of selling lemonade, I've learned to sell apple juice. That's also something it's called a pivot. Which is where you change from one thing that you're selling to a different thing because your customers told you, hey, I really like this thing you're doing over here, but it'd be even better if you did this thing over here. And so this is another thing of entrepreneurship is the idea you have coming right out of the gate, right at the beginning, may not be the idea that will be the thing that will catch on and that people will really appreciate that you do for them. And so you always got to kind of have your eyes open and understand what are the things that would be better to do versus what are the things we're doing now that maybe we shouldn't. But that's a great question. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that. I know I have, of what you should or shouldn't be doing, and should I keep at it or should I quit? It's a good question. What else do you all want to talk about?
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Could you tell me your email address?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm thinking of starting a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll give it to you, Rowan.
Oh, there you go. Hey, Shane, how are you doing?
Hey, man. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, this is
Hey,
fantastic.
could you give it to me as well?
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
And
We're
me
not going to announce it on
too.
YouTube, though.
I forgot these are going up on YouTube. That's right. No, I'd be happy. Please email me, call me. Happy to help you all out with that, with the business. I got to tell you, so I talked to a bunch of much older students last night from Washington University's MBA class in business in St. Louis. And I got to be honest, I think you ask better questions than they did. So kudos to you all. That's why age doesn't matter. Age does not matter at all. You all have it. I love the questions you guys are asking. Good work.
Thanks for the compliment.
Yeah, I'm being serious. I think you all did fantastic. This was so much fun. I am so thankful that I got to come on and do this with you all, and I'm excited now.
Are you working on any projects right now?
Yeah. So my business is we acquire other people's businesses and help them build them. And so we have quite a few that we're working with right now. One that I'm excited about, which is a software system that helps people find job opportunities, especially part-time work, is something that we're pretty excited about. They've grown at decent size, and it's a really nice firm. And we'll see. It's going to be kind of our first foray into software as a service type business, which we're excited about, or at least tech enabled. So yeah, it's a great question. Thanks for asking though. Shane, what did I miss? Have you been listening in?
Yeah, man, you did an awesome job. This was amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Well, I'm sure I missed something. What did I?
We could talk for hours, but we know your time is valuable too.
Of course.
We can do a follow-up.
That sounds great. Well, you all have a wonderful day, and I hope that you all get your businesses started here very soon. Okay.
I hope I will.
Me as well.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks a lot.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.